be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
Good evening, Matt. It's Wes.
Hello, Wes.
Hi.
Before we start, we're going to talk about a few things. But before we start, I want to point out and thank. We have some sharp listeners here. Someone went back and has been re-listening to all of my podcasts. And I wanted to, and I did not write your name down. I am so sorry. I just realized I didn't write your name down. You said, Matt, you called it in episode 6 of Prince of the Universe. Episode 6 was a Q&A that was performed by me and Bruce. We were answering questions. Anyone had questions? We did 5 strong episodes, and we were already fielding questions because I guess we were out of topics.
Right.
And the topic had come up that about superhero movies. Now, at the time, Avenger had come out, the first movie. Batman Superman was on its way. I was arguing that they were rushing the DC universe, and it was going to fall flat. And he said, "Wow, you called it." But yeah, I think anyone could have seen that coming. But interestingly enough, toward the end of that podcast, I asked Bruce a very pointed question. I said, "What happens when superhero movies lose their luster and people don't go?" He said, "That." And Bruce goes, "That won't happen." I said, "It will. It's only a matter of time." He went, No, dude. Everyone's going to see these movies. It'll just be like I said. It will not keep going on forever. Everything must stop. Every fad must stop. Westerns. I mentioned westerns. I mentioned the mystery, the gangster movies of the 30s. Everything has its time in the sun and then fades.
Correct.
Not to say they're never going to make westerns again. They still do. But there's less of it. It's not the big, instant, guaranteed hit. And Bruce saying it will never happen. It's here to stay now. Because of, at the time, Marvel's long-running track record. Ant-Man had not been out yet. We were talking about Ant-Man, how it looked decent and stuff, the first movie. And but I said, but it will. It will eventually. People will tire of these. The quality will go down. He went, dude, the quality's not going to go down. I said, oh, I'm just telling you, it will. It's only a matter of when. And he goes, wow, you called it. Well, yeah, but every movie genre eventually ends. So good call, good catch. I love when we find little things like that. But
what episode of Princes of the Universe are you on currently?
Oh, that's a great question. Usually I number these after we record them.
Okay.
I'll look it up. We're on 300 and something now.
So it was
370. So this is years ago, yeah.
5 to 6 years ago at least.
Yeah. Long time ago. We talked about it. But anyway, talking about movies.
Is that all we're going to say about the superhero?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I think that, like you said, there's been so much talk and numerous things online that you can read about. But it really, I would say, the return on investment was dictated more by greed than the creative process. And like you said, DC tried to jumpstart their process, and they went
in
through
the middle,
so many figureheads.
Yeah.
And I agree that is their downfall was the
Yeah.
Batman Superman fiasco.
They were just trying to play catch up, and they were doing a terrible job. I tell you, this is episode 348.
348.
But anyway, the other thing about that is that the quality of Marvel has gone down now. Marvel movies, no one's watching those. The writing just sucks now.
Well, I think that, wouldn't you say that the reason the Marvel thing deteriorated in a different way is because they were like, it got so big, they were like, oh, we need to get as much out as we can rather than...
It was a little bit of that, but it was quantity over quality.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And they thought they could throw any schlock up there, and the stupid fans would go see it.
Yep.
And now they're getting sticker shot because they've been, bombing left and right. They've been spending hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't feel bad for them at all. I'm glad because we deserve better quality. And the thing is, it's not everyone's, oh yeah, they should have never made this character. It's not the characters. Guardians of the Galaxy was a terrible choice. If I would have made a movie, I said,
I totally agree with that.
But they were great.
Yep.
So you can take a nobody character, a character that's really uninteresting, and they've taken a lot of uninteresting characters lately. But you can take a lot of these uninteresting characters and make them good, make them interesting, if you spent more time in the quality of your story. But they don't now because they thought they were too big. They got too big for their britches, thought they could throw any schlock up. It's like Lucasfilm. As long as we put Star Wars on the label, people will come in and see it. And they did. They did for the first 3 movies. And then
it started changing.
It started changing. And they just put schlock out. and they expect the fans to just go ahead and eat the slop because it says Star Wars, because it says Marvel, and fans are turning against that finally.
So the brand power has deteriorated.
Yes.
It's interesting that both of those are being gobbled up by other larger entities now. DC, Marvel,
yep,
and Star Wars.
It's
and now they're all three at kind of at a crossroads in certain respects.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a totally different world there. I would say that. I would agree with that. But anyway, speaking of movies, we went and saw a movie as of this recording.
The Labyrinth.
The Labyrinth. Jim Henson's The Labyrinth, which you revealed a shocking revelation to me right before we hit the theater, is that you've never seen this movie before.
Never.
So you had a special someone accompany you.
Yes, my lady friend.
Your lady friend.
Yes.
Your lady friend knows this movie.
Yes.
Your lady friend is cool, and she knows what's good.
Yes.
And so she was excited to see this movie.
Yes, I think she described that movie in her younger days as coming of age in some aspects.
It would really hit with the ladies, of course, because it's around a female character, a young Jennifer Connelly.
Yes.
By the way, my first experience with Jennifer Connelly, and my second was Rocketeer. Hello. But anyway,
Jennifer Connelly's got some very strong eyebrows.
She does. It was the 80s. It was okay. It was strong feminine characters back then with the strong bushy eyebrows. But so this is your actually first time seeing it. Kind of wild. I never saw this in theaters. Of course, this was VHS for us only.
Can I say something too, just to cut you off?
No, please.
But you and I have done a handful of these where we go back, we watch these old movies in theaters here, and this is by far the most people that were in a theater. And we have seen
by far the most. I was going to say that. Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back.
It was more than Empire Strikes. There were more people in the theater
Correct.
than Empire Strikes Back, than Big Lebowski, than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, than anything that I've gone back to see in years, except for the only one that was bigger was Gone with the Wind. I saw that years ago with Megan. It was packed. So that was the only, but this is the second most packed that theater has ever been. And that is a good point, because I was going to say, we saw Empire and it was a ghost town.
Right.
And it wasn't like there were multiple showings. There was one or two that day or something.
Yeah.
Same showings that there were for Labyrinth.
Yes.
But yet there were way more people. Way more people there.
Interesting to me.
Well,
there's something in there.
This hits on a lot of notes. Jim Henson works as Jim Henson magic, as we know he does. And the kids who'd seen this back in the day, but I saw younger people. Did you see I looked around at some of the ages
Well, we're in our
while we were walking
40s, and
there was someone,
there was easily lots of people in their 30s.
There was 30s, there
and
was
then
20s. There was 20s.
There's definitely
there,
parents
which
and
I was
kids.
Really surprised to see.
Yeah.
I really thought it would be the 40s crowd with some 30s in there.
Right.
I was not expecting so many 20s in there.
Yep.
But this is one that's kind of carried on through, I don't know, I'm guessing Hot Topics. All those little.
I definitely think it's more cultural, as far as it didn't. Obviously, it was not a resounding hit in 1986.
No.
And it is slowly. It's grown slower, and probably.
It's got a. Man, it's more than a cult following.
No, I agree.
There's another word. Is that cult following, I guess?
Well, I just think that there's a lot of layers to it
Yeah.
now, where, obviously Bowie is such the major part of it, but the whole Jim Henson thing is, you can watch that and you go, oh man, I forgot how important 2-camera shoots are.
Yeah.
It was like, you're almost watching, just like, am I watching like a made-for-TV movie for kids? Because it was kind of like watching the Muppets or Fraggle Rock or something.
Fraggle Rock, a little bit. It's one of those. This is back during Did you see Dark Crystal growing up?
I saw parts of Dark Crystal.
Okay. So this is back in the day where Jim Henson was experiencing, if it was in the movie theaters, we were going darker.
Yes.
Obviously, Megan and I were talking in theaters that this is a great movie. She went, the girls will love this, but I think they'd be scared in a few parts. I went, I guarantee you they'd be scared in a few parts. They'd be freaked out in a few parts.
Right.
But this is back, the darker movies that were hitting the theaters at the time. I will mention Dark Crystal, and I don't know if there's any other thing besides Dark Crystal and Labyrinth.
I would just say that,
but
you would almost, it's got to be Jim Henson was so ready to get away from
he wanted to do something
and Muppet
different.
Babies.
He
and
wanted to do
Fraggle
something
Rock.
different. He's always coming up with imaginative things. And for me, the creativity of Jim Henson to come up with new characters. There weren't no Kermit the Frogs in there. With new characters.
There was a lot of borrowing from Yoda and Miss Piggy.
Yoda, yeah, definitely. Yoda, there was some Yoda in there.
A lot of hiya! The Miss Piggy thing from the Muppets.
Yes. For a joke. They got to have some jokes, some yucks for the kids. And fart noises.
Ooh.
Which I loved. And I have great memories of. It has that 80s set charm, meaning that it's an elaborate set that's all fake, but it's so big and huge that, you don't really care, because they built the Goblin City, obviously.
Right.
So you're walking around these houses and everything. I love the old school sets. Of course, they use a lot of blue screen. And times where they really shouldn't have used blue screen, for whatever reason, they decided it was time for blue screen. 80s blue screen magic, of course.
Right.
David Bowie as the Goblin King is a great choice, in my opinion. It was my first time knowing who David Bowie was. I didn't know who he was.
Right.
He was the Goblin King before he was David Bowie to me. Okay, I didn't even realize that, because growing up, that was my first introduction to him. And those songs, I thought, well, those must be his number one hits he's just singing that happened to coincide with the theme of the movie. Of course, they weren't. So it breaks into some music videos here and there.
Yeah, you definitely get a good music video.
Yeah.
Or two.
Or three. There's some good music videos in there. But you get, I think it's three. Three music videos. But Dance Magic Dance being the biggest one. It took me, I did sing a little bit. I'm glad the rest of the crowd didn't join in, or I would have gotten louder. But I really, really enjoyed that movie. It's not the number one movie from the 80s for me. Maybe not even top 10, but definitely something I enjoyed.
Why did they release it this year? Because it's 86, so it's not 40.
Would it be, let me see, 86? Would it be, it wouldn't be their 35th either.
No.
I don't know. Sometimes they just release these movies for no reason other than,
and that to me even adds why it's interesting that many people were there, because it was not an anniversary release, a 40th or 35th. It's the 38th.
No. But we try to get, I think movie theaters, and this is what's sad, of all the posters we passed by in the theater, they didn't have a Labyrinth poster out. Put a Labyrinth poster out. They would have gotten, I think if they would advertise these more, we've talked about this in the past.
Right.
But if they would have advertised these more, I mean, shoot. He showed me the app. It's hidden in the app even.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to search it to a special spot to find it on the app. That's crap, man. Because, I mean, if I didn't know most of this
The app is crap.
The app is crap. It is. Because they should be advertising these big time, and I think they'd get tons of people. Empire Strikes Back in theaters again, I was ashamed that there weren't that many people. Same thing with
There was
Big
less than
Lebowski.
10.
Yes, and
We're
not exaggerating that either. It was a ghost town. And this is you think, oh, Matt, this was the 10 o'clock show. This is 7 o'clock. This is prime time movie theater time, and no one was there, because I guarantee you, no one knew.
Yep.
No one knew, and that's the thing. That's what angers me about, because these are my. And I was talking to your special lady friend about this. That this gets me more excited going to the theater, watching these older movies. And we've said this before, because we've gone to several older movies before. It gets me more excited than anything new. There's a few new movies I want to see. I want to see the new Ghostbusters. I want to see all this stuff. But the thing is, though, what I'm really excited for is Labyrinth. What I'm really excited for this summer is Neverending Story.
Right.
What I'm really excited for is whatever next old releases coming out, because that's the thing I'm interested in more than anything, because I want to see these movies that I missed as a child in the big screen. But Megan said this was her first time to watch it all the way through. She didn't think she'd watched it all the way through before. She was underimpressed by it. And the question I had for you, it's hard to appreciate an 80s movie if you didn't grow up watching it.
Correct.
I know this because I don't like the Goonies.
Right. You've told me that.
The whole time I was thinking, when I watched the movie, I said, dang, I think I would have loved this movie if I was a kid.
Yep.
And I was mad because I didn't get to watch it as a kid, because I don't have any nostalgia for it, and I think it's kind of silly and stupid.
Right.
So, was it the same for Labyrinth for you?
I think it's the same.
Okay. I mean, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, but, you can watch it with, you just have to watch it for what it is and appreciate that rather than going, oh, I don't understand. You don't want to be the grumpy old guy about, like, I don't get it. I can totally get it, but I also totally understand why it didn't land in 1986 because it's a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, with me, I don't talk bad about the Goonies to anyone. I understand why I don't like it. I understand that. Like, I see the treasure ship and everything. Oh, man, that's a cool idea. Oh, finding a treasure ship and all the treasure hunting. And the
It's
cool
with your
kids.
buddies.
I mean, that had been awesome. But when we break down some of these 80s, and the 80s movies that I love, I understand they're silly.
Sure.
I love, I've Lost Boys. I love Lost Boys.
Oh, I do too.
It's silly. It's silly when you break it down.
Talk about a music video movie.
Oh man. It's insane. Two kids running a comic book store. Two kids. They're not adults, but we bought it and we believe it and we love the Frog Brothers.
Right.
We love them. We think they're awesome, but it comes across as silly. The whole thing comes across as silly. But the vampires are so 80s. They're
like Motley Crue.
They're like a rock band.
Yeah.
They're the coolest rock band. And Megan loves Lost Boys, by the way. Lost Boys is, pinnacle movie, top-notch movie. But the thing is, though, if you did not watch that in the 80s, you're going to be looking at us going, well, what the heck are you thinking, Matt? This is not the best vampire movie ever. I don't think they would appreciate it. I don't think some of these movies would hold up to the modern, and we see it through a scope. That's true. But at the same time, I think Ferris Bueller's Day Off is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. I think it is. Oh, no, it's not the funniest movie ever. Yeah, but you didn't grow up watching it. And right. I get that.
Right.
So the same thing that you dropped another truth bomb on me, though.
Yes.
Earlier, before we went to the theater. You've never seen the original Ghostbusters movie, 1 or 2?
Not all the way through. Not
Wow.
Sit down and just watch it.
Okay, how did this happen? Because as a child of the 80s, and you watched a lot of 80s movies.
Yeah.
How did Ghostbusters... I had to stop the conversation because I wanted you to talk about it here live. How did Ghostbusters escape your radar?
I don't know if it was something that, like, when you're a kid, that, like, I was probably... Ghostbusters came out, what, 85?
Yeah, I believe so, 85. Yeah,
so I was
85,
like...
84, something like that. Yeah.
8. So I'm wondering if the reason I didn't go was it was some, like... my mom or my parents weren't a fan of those, of like Bill Murray or something. I don't know, because I know I saw Stripes as a little boy. I remember watching Stripes.
Wow.
And I don't know if that may have impacted, because Stripes was kind of a little edgier.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if that may have had a thing about it. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but at the same point, when I was smaller and watching those movies, the fantasy aspect, I guess it just didn't resonate with me.
Okay, so that genre didn't impress you.
I guess so.
Wow. Okay, because I didn't watch it in theaters either, but of course, VHS.
Right.
I probably saw this movie in 2 years later, 86, 87,
Yeah.
I probably saw it later in life because
Yep.
I told you this. We watched the VHS. We went over to someone's house, snuck over, because my parents did not want me watching it because it was going to give us nightmares, she thought, because it was scary because it said ghost in the title.
Right.
And so we snuck away and watched it anyway. And then we snuck away and watched the second one when we moved here. Someone had it on VHS, and we snuck over to his house and watched it one night because his parents didn't care, So we watched them both. So I saw them years after the movie, but I did grow up watching them. I did enjoy them. And for me, Ghostbusters, come on, that sounds so cool. You're busting ghosts, man.
Right.
And I watched did you watch the real Ghostbusters cartoon?
I watched the cartoon a little bit, and I don't know if even if it's the song, that song was so big.
Yes, it was everywhere. It was the best
So
song
I
in the
don't know
world
if
growing
that
up.
was what turned me away from it, because there used to be this robot in town. I saw a picture of this on Facebook called Deputy Do-Right. Did you ever hear of the Deputy Do-Right?
Hello.
Okay.
Please.
So it was like this robot that they would bring into schools, and it would like spin around. It's very limited in robot. Let me say that. It's like a microwave. But it would like spin around, and it was like, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad, whatever. And but it would spin and it would dance around to Ghostbusters. And I don't know if that had something to do with why I didn't like it.
So it was way
Not
too
that
popular
I'm embracing drugs. I'm
you-
just saying I'd attribute it more with Deputy Do-Right than I do the movie.
But you're saying, and I now I'm kind of understanding. It was just such a big thing. You're like, don't cram it down my throat. I don't want to watch it now. Everyone's talking about, I'm
And that's how a lot of
it.
people are with big movies. Like there's plenty of people
that's understand. I get that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
So
okay,
I almost
understand
wonder
that.
if that was it.
You didn't even like the song. We loved the song.
No,
we loved the song before we saw the movie.
No,
we never said, wow. Thought the song was really catchy. We watched. I will be honest. Before we saw the movie, the cartoon had come out, and we were watching the cartoon. We could get away with watching the cartoon somehow. So we'd watch the cartoon, and when I watched the movie, I was so confused that Egon has dark hair, not blonde hair. It was so confused. It felt off. It felt wrong to me because the real Ghostbusters, the cartoon, we watched that all the time as kids before we even saw the first movie, and that was just so awesome. I was like, wow, the movie's just. I thought this was a continuation of the movie cartoon style, and but when I watched, I was like, why does Egon not have blonde hair? This is so weird to me. But that was my first experience with my exposure to Ghostbusters with the cartoon, and of course we love Slimer, and Slimer's not a big part of the movie, the original movie, which shocked me. But because I thought he was like their best friend. He's their best friend in the cartoon. And he kind of gained his own popularity. I don't really know how he got to be the popular ghost out of them all. He's not cuddly or cute in the movie.
Wasn't he embraced by High C, like the little drink boxes?
High C may have done some stuff for him. I thought that was from the cartoon, but either way, you're right. And then I remember Burger King had something called the Slimer Sundae.
Yep.
It was very, very heavy spearmint syrup on vanilla. And it was... We got free ones, and it was disgusting. I could not eat it. It was so bad. I was a kid back then, too. Could not eat ice cream because I thought it was so disgusting.
That sounds...
Because it was just...
Sounds like toothpaste.
It was. It was like putting toothpaste on very cold teeth. I mean, it was just like shocking
Toothpaste on ice cream sounds like something Jim Cornette would say. About a terrible wrestling match.
It was shocking to the taste buds. A little too much there. So wasn't enjoying that at all. But other than that, I did. So well, obviously you've never seen the new ones because I was telling you I kind of wanted to see the new one. You're like, what? So that's interesting. Are there any other before we get this? Because I didn't know about Labyrinth. I didn't know about Ghostbusters. Are there any other 80s?
I'm sure there are if we just started digging into it.
Because the only one that I had was Goonies on my list. E.T. I'd never seen E.T. before.
Okay.
Because it scared my little brother, the idea of E.T. So we never were allowed to watch it until I married Megan. Then she had me watch it. So I watched E.T.
I don't know what affected me more in theaters as a little kid, seeing E.T. almost dying or watching like Bambi.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
It didn't hit me that hard, but E.T. I was like, okay, I see why this is a classic. I could see why it was a classic. I could appreciate it a little bit more. It's not cherished for me because I didn't grow up with it.
Right.
But I saw that more than I saw with Goonies. Now I was upset with myself because I consider myself a man that appreciates 80s movies. Mm-hmm. But I was like, man, this is just not good. But I know if I'd have seen it back in the day,
right,
I'd have loved it. It would have been right up my alley. And our views are skewed a little bit when we're watching these movies because as kids, they are a big impact. Someone 10 years, I've said this a million times, but someone 10 years older than me does not like Return of the Jedi. They don't want cuddly Ewoks defeating their cool stormtroopers that they grew up watching in 1977. 6 years later, that 16-year-old is now 22, and they want a little bit more reality than space teddy bears. I
totally agree with that.
But as a kid growing up, I was like, yes! It was totally believable that the Ewoks would take them on and everything, and I still love Ewoks to this day. But someone who's just a few years older than me despises Return of the Jedi and hates the Ewoks.
Well, I do also.
You do too. Okay, well, you're just a hater.
Mm-hmm.
And there's kids who love Jar Jar Binks, and we do not. But he wasn't created for us. He was created for kids.
Right.
There's people who love the prequels. I think the prequels are okay. I'll never defend the prequels. I think there's a lot of flaws in the prequels.
I do believe that's coming out in a month or so.
Yeah, they're re-releasing it because there's some TV show that's coming out around episode 1. I don't care, but
yep.
Episode 1, I missed it on the 3D release because I didn't want to watch 3D movies because I thought that's stupid. The movie wasn't created for 3D. They're just going to throw cheap 3D effects. I'm not going to watch it.
Right.
This time around, I probably will see that. I probably will see episode 1. What about you? Is that something you're willing to see or no?
I don't know. I guess if I was going to go with like people that really appreciated or grew, like we saw Empire. So if I was going to see Empire with somebody, I would want to see it with people that like had an embrace for it. And I guess it's always interesting to see the generational side of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would hope they're doing episode 2 and 3 as well, is my hope. I just don't want to see episode 1 and then never any of them again. I don't think this is the last time any of these movies are going to come out. I think the original trilogy is going to come out again. Eventually everything.
I mean, why would they not?
Yeah, well, it's always going to churn out money, print money when you do that. So
you're 3 years away from a 50th anniversary. It's coming.
Yeah. No. Obviously, it's coming back. But the thing is, though, with all these movies, though, I'll probably give them another shot. I just don't want it to be episode 1 and then nothing else. They don't do episode 2 or 3. I'd like to see them all.
Yep.
I'd like to see a movie triple feature or something, something like that all day on Saturday, or something, or one after the other, 1 week after the next. They come out every month.
Maybe,
or whatever.
maybe every week. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we're made for 9 hours of Star Wars.
Okay.
In one
Well,
day.
I'm just saying. I would like to see them all together, making sure. But right now, episode 1 is the only one that's been guaranteed, and that's because of I don't know, some TV show. But and then there's a few others that we talked about that are coming out. Is there any? Let me ask you this: is there any '80s or older movie that you would love to see come back in theaters? There's not that. I don't know of a list for myself. Like The Grinch that just came out this past Christmas was the last one on my list. I really wanted them to come back out with, and they did, and I was so happy.
I just think that if the easiest way to do it would be just do everything with it being, 2024 now. Anything from 84 or, 89 where you hit a generational, anniversary, I think it's fine to do that.
I don't
Because
even if it
doesn't, but I'm just saying if that would be a reason to do it. But I think the ability to go see these movies in a theater, I would even enjoy it more if it was in a more of a classic theater than the theater we have, because our theater was built in the late 90s, so it has
I would love the red curtain.
Sure.
To be pulled back. I miss the old days of the red curtain. They can't do that anymore. That's not feasible anymore. We got to have ads running 24/7.
Yeah, correct.
But when the red curtain opened, that told everyone, shut up.
Correct.
Because the movie's about to start.
Right.
And that was a great feat because you got excited when the red curtain opened. Oh,
yeah,
here it comes.
Sure.
And that magic is gone. Now, some bigger cities have these older theaters that still have that. That'd be nice. And to be honest, I do think there's a place for Monroe to have their own theater like that shows old classics. Every week there's a new classic, and they just advertise what it is.
Yep.
I think that movie theater, just one screen. Just pick one movie a week, one re-release or whatever, and I think you've got a sustainable movie theater that I think people would keep coming back there and seeing. You maybe lower the ticket price a little bit or maybe lower some concessions, but you bring people in the door, you put butts in seats, and I think people would enjoy. I would enjoy that.
Right.
I would enjoy that.
I don't think it's ticket prices for the movie. I think it's the ticket prices for the concession. That would be your hook.
That'd be okay. Yeah, that's fine then.
Because
like I have a $5 big bucket of popcorn or whatever, or $10 popcorn and drink combo or something like that. Or even, that's not even cheap, but it is compared to the concessions out there now.
I just think that would be a hook, but that's another idea. But to go back on Labyrinth before we wrap up.
Oh yeah, sure. Go
I did enjoy seeing it. I definitely would not tell someone not to see it. I think if you enjoy Jim Henson, that's the main reason to go.
Yes.
I don't know if you enjoy David Bowie but everybody enjoys Bowie on so many levels.
What about Bowie's crotch? Can you appreciate that in the movie?
Well, what's funny about that? Well, I don't know if there's anything funny about it. Your podcast previous to this one, or one of them, when Heath Futch made his reappearance, we spoke and today about us going to see it, and he referenced David Bowie's crotch immediately.
Of course he did.
And Heath can't see that well. So the fact that he could see that says a lot. Because Heath has had more eye surgery than anyone I know.
Wow.
Okay. But he's a pecker checker. He can see that stuff. And then Caitlin also, when
you knew the reason she wanted to come and see it. How
excited she was because of David Bowie's crotch.
Of course.
So,
well, brother, it's a nice crotch.
Yeah, I mean, it was something. It was something. And then there were a lot of references. There was a lot of big noses in that movie, and I can't help but feel like that was a reference towards something else.
Well, I just know when I saw that crotch, I had a similar smile on my face. So, yeah, there's a lot of big noses there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you think that was a message against the Jews?
No, no. I think it was a reference at big weens. So
Hey, very phallic movie.
yeah, very
The
phallic.
water fountain
Yes.
with the big spouts right at the crotch area, and
Yeah.
everyone holding their fountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really holding it.
Really grabbing a hold of that nozzle as it peed out.
Yep.
Yeah, drink from my
The
fountain.
base.
Yeah. Yes.
You know.
Exactly. Into a pool.
Right. Like, I don't know where they were holding the selfie stick, but they definitely had a hold of that joker.
Hello. So overall, though, you could appreciate for what it was worth, and that's,
I like it. I think it's good to see things and realize not everything has to be a hit.
it's true.
You know, like let somebody take a chance. And I think that seeing something like that, we realize how formulaic everything we watch is now, and no one takes a chance like that. And I'm not talking about a chance with your crotch, because I encourage everyone to take that chance.
Okay. Thank you for being a pecker checker with Heath.
Right.
All right. So, folks, tell us what you thought about The Labyrinth. What do you think about old movies coming back into theaters to get you excited? Is it not worth it? Or what movies do you want to see back in theaters? And we'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.